TrueStory Vibes warmly welcomes all our beloved listeners. We're so glad to see you again in our familiar time slot. Today, TrueStory Vibes brings you a brand new story, one that we hope will touch your heart and stay with you. As you listen, feel free to leave a comment sharing the quote or moment that left the deepest impression on you. Wishing you a wonderful and meaningful listening experience. Seattle's skyline shimmered in the early morning mist, the Space Needle's neon glow fading as dawn spilled soft gold across Elliott Bay. Tucked into a converted loft on Capitol Hill, Blue Oak Media's headquarters hummed to life, a cluster of high-ceilinged rooms with exposed brick walls, oversized windows, and beanbag chairs scattered among standing desks. Here, Serena Blake, at 32, reigned as creative director, a role she'd earned through sleepless nights and fearless pitch decks that landed the firm some of the city's fattest social media contracts. Serena's phone buzzed at exactly 7:02 a.m. She sipped espresso brewed strong enough to float a spoon as she scanned the Slack channels, campaign deadlines, influencer outreach updates, and one message that made her pause. Evelyn Hayes at 7:01 a.m. Serena, Hudson needs a ride today. I'll be late. Please pick him up at Maplewood. Serena's chest tightened. Her 5-year-old son, Hudson, had been under his grandmother's care ever since Serena agreed to take the creative director position 2 years ago. It had been a tough choice, swapping late-night lullabies for late-night strategy sessions, but Serena had promised Hudson she'd always make time at 5 p.m. sharp for their nightly ritual. Half-hour of Lego towers followed by bedtime stories. She tapped a thumbs up, took another sip of espresso, then opened her calendar. A 9 a.m. video call with a major retail client, a 1 p.m. brainstorming session for a national shoe launch, and a coveted 4 p.m. slot to sync with her account team before racing to Maplewood Elementary. Across town, on the opposite shore of Lake Washington, stood a glass-walled condo where Jackson Hayes, 35, CEO of Hayes Property Group, finished his morning workout. Muscles taut beneath a moisture-wicking tee, he checked his watch. 7:05 a.m. He had an 8 a.m. board meeting at the Bellevue office. After that, property tours in downtown's luxury high-rises. Business travel, he told Serena, sometimes meant late nights. As he laced shoes in the lobby, his mother, Evelyn Hayes, appeared beside him. At 60, she carried herself like a boardroom general. Tailored navy blazer, crisp white blouse, and an expression that brooked no excuses. Evelyn swept past Jackson without a word and pressed a small envelope into his hand. Your grandfather's will, she said, voice low and precise. Read it when you have time. Jackson's stomach sank. He'd assumed everything resolved years ago. He nodded. Thank you, Mom, he managed. But Evelyn was already gone, out the revolving doors, off to her first client breakfast meeting. Hayes Property Group was Jackson's legacy. A boutique real estate firm specializing in high-end waterfront condos and corporate relocations. Under his leadership, revenues had doubled, and his name graced the cover of regional business magazines. But the market in Seattle had turned frosty. Rising interest rates and creeping vacancy rates at new developments meant Jackson needed one big deal, fast, to keep his firm afloat. Meanwhile, at Blue Oak Media, Serena launched into her day. The city's tech scene was booming, and her agency was at the epicenter, crafting launch videos for startups housed in the South Lake Union Glass Towers, mapping influencer partnerships for esports brands, and designing interactive billboards in Pike Place Market. Serena thrived on this energy, this constant churn of ideas and deadlines. Yet every time her phone buzzed with a reminder, pick up Hudson at 5 p.m., her heart skipped. She clicked over to her family photo, Hudson grinning in a bright red raincoat, arms thrown wide. Seattle's Ferris wheel glowing behind him. She'd moved mountains to afford that half hour. At 4 p.m. precisely, she wrapped up her final meeting, raving reviews for the upcoming sneaker project, and sprinted west across Broadway, dodging scooters and construction cones. She steered her Subaru past crusty coffee carts and indie bookstores until she pulled into Maplewood's lot. Hudson, backpack askew, waved enthusiastically. Serena scooped him up, relief flooding her. They wound home through the city's rolling hills, past the pastel murals of Capitol Hill and the fading blossoms of cherry-lined streets. Back at her loft, she dropped Hudson in front of his latest Lego creation, then logged back in. One more check on campaign metrics, one last emergency brainstorm for tomorrow's pitch. As Serena typed, her phone's screen flashed. 8:15 p.m., missed call. Jackson H. She frowned. Jackson had texted midday. Client meeting ran late. I'll be home around 7. She'd waited on hold, fed Hudson dinner, read him 2 bedtime stories, then, at 8 p.m., tucked him in for good. Now Jackson's missed call might mean traffic, a surprise dinner invite, or... She dialed. Straight to voicemail. She left a brief. Hey, it's me. Just checking, call me when you can. Meanwhile, in a sleek hotel suite overlooking Pike Place, Ruby Carter, 28 and fierce in a silk blouse and pencil skirt, peered through the window at the neon fish sign below. She slipped her phone from her clutch and tapped out a message.
Can't wait to see you again, Jack.
Tonight is ours. She'd re-entered Jackson's world 6 weeks ago, an unplanned coffee shop reunion, when he'd stopped by her old Harvard dorm to collect an award from their alma mater's alumni chapter. She remembered his polished smile, the way his eyes flickered at her name. After a phone number swap, their lunches became lunches plus, until work trips gave them hotel bars and private suites. Ruby's heart fluttered. She arranged her notes for tomorrow's board materials, then texted another quick. Suite 1509. She paused. Part of her wondered if Jackson missed Serena's calls too. Back at Serena's loft, she finally fell into bed at 11:30 p.m., phone in hand. She scrolled through her email, proofed one last deck, and, before sleep claimed her, typed a goodnight text. Good night.
Love.
See you in morning. Seattle's night lights shimmered, hiding a truth neither Serena nor Jackson suspected. The delicate balance of career, family, and love was already tipping. Serena would soon discover that whispers in Madison's marble lobby and the glow of pings after hours carried more weight than any campaign metric. In the city of endless rainbows arcing over Puget Sound, 2 lives, creative brilliance and corporate ambition, were on a collision course. The question was not if their worlds would shatter, but when. The next morning, Serena woke before sunrise. A gentle drizzle tapped against her loft's windows, gray Pacific Northwest skies casting a soft glow over Capitol Hill. She padded into the kitchen to brew coffee, her mind already racing through to-dos, drafting a campaign strategy, approving ad mock-ups, and, most precious of all, picking up Hudson at school in time for his afternoon playdate. As she pressed the French press plunger down, her phone buzzed with a push notification. Jackson Hayes. Sorry, pancakes meeting at the Madison ran long. I'll be home by 7:30. Hate to miss Hudson's art show. Serena frowned. Hudson's kindergarten class was hosting a brief family art night at 6 p.m. She'd clear her schedule to be there with him. She typed back quickly. Serena Blake. We're your top priority, or you miss out on choosing his masterpiece frame. See you at 7 if you can. She hit send, her stomach fluttering with unease. Late meetings were nothing new for Jackson, but missing Hudson's first finger-painting extravaganza felt like crossing a line. She took a deep breath, reminding herself of the high stakes in his real estate world. That emerging downtown development was make or break for his company. Still, she tucked the nagging worry away, telling herself she'd handle it when he got home. 10:15 a.m., Madison Hotel, lobby bar. Jackson Hayes descended the grand marble staircase of the Madison, a luxury boutique hotel renowned for executive breakfasts and waterfront views. He adjusted his lapels, plastered on a practiced smile, and nodded to the maitre d', the same friendly face that had greeted him countless times. He slid into the leather booth where 2 potential investors already waited. A pair of silver-haired partners from a Midwestern pension fund. Their conversation was smooth, clever quips, PowerPoint slides, promises of premium returns on Hayes' waterfront condo portfolio. Jackson was in his element. But every time his watch ticked past 10:30, He caught sight of a text message blinking on his phone. Ruby Carter. Performing arts event tonight? Or should I just come up to 1509? Winking face. His pulse quickened. He typed back. Jackson Hayes. Doors open at 7. Tonight's your night.
G.
He looked up at the pension fund partners, refocused on the spreadsheets and financial projections. By the time the meeting concluded at 11:45, the men shook his hand and agreed to substantial seed funding for the next tower. Jackson exhaled, pocketed his phone, and strode back through the lobby, stopping only to nod at the concierge, who slipped him a printout. On that slip of paper, beneath the Madison's logo, was a handful of photographs, glossy, stormy-eyed images of Jackson and Ruby entwined in an embrace. Each snapshot was taken from slightly different angles. In some, Jackson's suit jacket was draped over a chair. In others, Ruby's business blouse was half unbuttoned, revealing the soft curve of her collarbone. Jackson's heart lurched. He flicked through quickly, then stuffed the photos into his jacket pocket. He owed an explanation to Serena. He owed countless explanations, but for now, he had to focus on the afternoon site walkthrough at the new waterfront property. As he climbed into the back seat of a black SUV, he sent a brief text. Jackson Hayes. Emergency board site visit. Won't make art show. Sorry again. He tapped send before the car door slammed shut. 2 p.m., Blue Oak Media.
Meanwhile,
Serena stared at her laptop as her creative director flag quietly flapped in the office's slight morning breeze. Her team was mid-presentation, concept boards for a national shoe launch, mock Instagram stories, and a cheeky TikTok storyboard. She applauded their ideas, asked sharp questions, and steered their energy toward a polished, memorable pitch. Yet beneath her confident exterior, Serena felt a growing knot in her stomach. Jackson's missed pancake meeting, then another missed text, felt less like business demands and more like distance. She finished the meeting at 3 p.m., tapped her temple in thought, and slid out of her chair. I'll circle back, she told them, already reaching for her phone. She thumbed through her messages. Jackson Hayes, 12:10 p.m., site visit, ran late. Be home around 8 p.m. Ruby Carter, 12:11 p.m., so, tonight?
she paused.
That startled ping from Ruby at the same minute as Jackson's update sent a chill through her veins. Had Jackson been texting Ruby while at the board site? She silently collected her things and headed out, determined to see Jackson face to face. She needed clarity, not just for her own peace of mind, but for Hudson's. 4:30 p.m. Waterfront development site. Jackson hopped out in a flurry of crisp wind off Puget Sound. Hard hats on, safety goggles down, he met with engineers and architects to inspect the foundation progress. By 6 p.m., plans looked good. Piles hammered down, drainage systems in place. But though everyone congratulated him on staying ahead of schedule, his mind was miles away in Suite 1509. He kept glancing at his phone, hoping for a heads-up text from Ruby, but saw only the site manager's group chat. Site manager. All good, fog lifting. Homeward bound. Jackson Hayes. ETA, 8. As he climbed back into the SUV, Jackson tried to reset his focus. He texted Serena once more. Jackson Hayes. Mom's driving Hudson home tonight. I'll see you two tomorrow at the playground. Promise. His promise felt hollow even as he tapped send. 5 p.m., Maplewood Elementary. Serena waited by the blue-painted picket fence, the damp air tinged with chalk dust and laughter as children scrambled for swings and slides. She spotted Hudson, raincoat bright as a fire truck, sprinting toward her, a crayon-drawn best mom ever certificate clutched in his small hand. Mom, he yelled, face flushed. He hugged her tight, and for a moment, the world settled into clarity. This was her priority. She knelt, kissed the certificate, and held his hand as they walked home. 7:45 p.m., back at the loft. The hallway light reflected off their doormat. Serena stepped inside, Hudson trailing behind. The apartment was quiet. She called out, "Jackson?" No answer. Only the dull hum of city traffic below. She checked her phone. Jackson Hayes, 7:30 p.m., should be home in 30.
She sighed,
Set Hudson's backpack by the door, and tucked him into his pajamas. They read one bedtime story. Goodnight Moon, his favorite. As Serena kissed his forehead, Hudson mumbled, "Dad will make it next time, right?" Her throat tightened. "He'll be there soon," she said softly, brushing his hair back. She wished she truly believed it. 8:30 p.m. Serena's loft. Once Hudson's light clicked off, brightly revealing his sleep-masked dreamscape, Serena closed the door and flicked on the living room lamp. She couldn't unpack the disappointment. She sank onto the couch, scrolling through emails and half-completed designs, but Jackson's absence felt like an ache in her chest. Tracing her thumb over Ruby's last text, Sweet 1509, Serena's heart hammered. Something in her whispered, "Check." She opened her phone's email app, no hotel confirmations from Jackson. Instead, a calendar invite, Jackson at Madison Hotel, Suite 1509, labeled Private Client Meeting, booked 6 weeks ago. Her breath hitched. That client meeting had never existed in her calendar. Ruby's ticker tape of texts and Jackson's silent arrivals all pointed to one undeniable fact. He wasn't at a boardroom or a construction site. He was in that suite with Ruby. Serena stood, legs shaky, and traced a trembling finger across the apartment's exposed brick wall. Her sanctuary felt suddenly fragile. She pulled out Jackson's card from her wallet, silver haze property embossing, and stared at it. It had once symbolized love, partnership, and shared dreams. Now, she suspected, it pointed to betrayal. 9 p.m., Suite 1509, the Madison Hotel. Up on the 19th floor, Ruby Carter adjusted her white silk blouse in the suite's vanity mirror. She paused when her phone vibrated. Jackson Hayes. "I'm on the way." Her pulse fluttered. She heard a gentle tap at the door. Ruby opened it to find Jackson, tie loosened, eyes soft but tired. He stepped inside, and for a moment, the world outside vanished. "Ruby," he breathed. Her lips curved in that familiar, merciless half-smile. "Tonight's all ours, Jack." Behind her, the suite lights gleamed, two figures cloaked in the hush of betrayal, with Serena's loft and Hudson's bedtime world just blocks away, unaware of the storm raging behind closed doors. In a city known for second chances and evergreen rainbows, Serena Blake's first real test of faith in love and loyalty had arrived. The clues were no longer whispers, they were irrefutable facts. And as the clock ticked toward midnight, both Serena and Jackson would learn that once trust fractures, even the strongest relationships tremble on the brink of collapse. Serena Blake's Subaru came to a gentle stop beneath the ornate wrought iron archway marking 123 Elmcrest Drive. The Seattle sky, bruised and brooding, spilled a fine spring rain that slicked the gravel driveway and coated magnolia blossoms in glistening droplets. Serena sat inside the car for a moment, gripping her black leather tote tightly on her lap. Inside it lay the evidence she would present tonight. High-resolution photographs printed on glossy paper, transcripts of time-stamped text messages, and a draft separation agreement. Her heart thundered as she stared at the expansive Tudor Revival mansion before her. Its steeply pitched rooflines and ivy-clad walls appearing at once stately and foreboding. With a slow exhale, Serena opened the car door. Her heels clicked decisively on the wet cobblestones as she crossed the front courtyard. Her leather trench coat, the very one she had chosen over a summer silk blazer, protected her from the chilly mist. She paused at the base of the wide stone steps, steeling herself for whatever lay inside. Each step upward felt heavier than the last. At the top, she pressed the antiquated doorbell. The sound lingered, then was swallowed by the hush of gathering storm clouds. Moments later, the heavy oak door swung inward, revealing Evelyn Hayes. Serena recognized the precise tilt of Evelyn's head, the way her silver hair was swept into a tight chignon, and the tailored navy blazer that spoke of decades commanding corporate boardrooms. Evelyn's expression was unreadable, betraying neither surprise nor judgment. "Serena," Evelyn said, voice serene yet unyielding. Thank you for coming. Please come in. Serena offered a curt nod and followed Evelyn into the grand foyer. Their footsteps echoed briefly on polished marble floors. A sweeping staircase with dark mahogany banisters curved upward in an elegant spiral, and a crystal chandelier refracted pale light onto stone walls lined with ancestral portraits. Evelyn led her through an archway into the drawing room, where two plush velvet armchairs faced each other across a low marble coffee table. A crackling fire cast amber shadows on walls paneled in rich walnut, and floor-to-ceiling bookshelves hinted at a legacy of intellect and tradition. Serena claimed the armchair to the left of the hearth, the firelight dancing on her determined features. Evelyn seated herself opposite, arms folded, eyes glinting. Jackson will join us shortly, Evelyn said. In the meantime, if you have brought evidence, you may lay it out here. Serena's pulse raced. She unzipped her tote and withdrew the glossy photos first. The initial image showed Jackson Hayes, suit jacket slung over one shoulder, leaning into Ruby Carter as she brushed a stray lock of hair from his forehead. The next depicted Jackson's arms around Ruby's waist, the two standing intimately close on a plush hotel suite carpet. Subsequent shots revealed more passionate proximity, whispers at the nape of the neck, hands brushing collars, ties loosened, blouse buttons undone. Serena laid the prints in a careful fanned row across the table, then placed the packet of printed texts beside them. Those transcripts detailed outgoing and incoming messages. Ruby's invitation. Doors open at 7 p.m., just us. Jackson's reply. Be right there. Timestamped at exactly the same minute he'd claimed to be attending high-stakes meetings or site tours. The room fell silent except for the soft roar of the fire. Serena folded her hands calmly in her lap. A soft click from the hallway heralded Jackson's arrival. He entered wearing a sodden trench coat over a soaked navy suit. His dark hair fell forward, and the tension in his shoulders spoke volumes. He paused at the threshold, drawing in a sharp breath before stepping fully into the room and shedding his coat. His gaze swept the table, Serena's conflicted expression, Evelyn's impassive mask, then back to Serena. Serena, he began, voice hushed. Evelyn. Evelyn raised a hand. Please sit, Jackson. Her tone was not unkind, but firm. Jackson slid into the armchair opposite Serena, fumbling with a damp handkerchief. His eyes flicked to the photographs arrayed on the table. He winced, then looked up at Serena. Serena met his gaze. Jackson, I asked you here because I deserve the truth. Tell me how long this has been going on, and why you thought I would never find out. Jackson swallowed against a lump in his throat. It started about 6 weeks ago, he admitted. We ran into each other at that alumni fundraiser in Bellevue. I hadn't seen Ruby since college, and I was lonely. Serena's lips tightened. Lonely, she repeated, incredulous. Our son's art show was 2 Tuesdays ago. You lied about board meetings to attend hers in a luxury suite instead. Jackson's jaw dropped. I asked you to trust me, he said, voice cracking. I thought I could balance both. Balance. Serena's voice rose, echoing slightly on the wood paneling. Our marriage, our son. That was supposed to be your balance. You chose an illicit affair over your family. Evelyn intervened calmly. Jackson, show her the messages. Jackson glanced nervously at the transcripts and pulled them closer. He scanned the printed text. Ruby, can't wait for tonight.
Suite 1509.
Jackson, be there in 10. Ruby, don't let me wait. Time codes aligned precisely with his calendar entries. Madison Hotel, board retreat, and site walk, waterfront tower. Jackson closed his eyes. I never meant to hurt you. I never meant to lie. Serena's eyes shimmered with tears she refused to shed. Why? She whispered. Why hide it? Jackson ran a hand through his hair. I felt like I was failing at everything. My father's expectations, the company's struggles, our life. And Ruby, she made me feel seen. Serena's hands clutched the armrests. Seen? Hudson needs to feel seen, she said. He needs bedtime stories, not your empty promises. Jackson's head bowed. Evelyn exhaled softly, then turned to Serena. Is there anything else you need before we conclude? Serena hesitated, then nodded. She folded her hands again and retrieved a final printout from her tote. It was a handwritten note from Ruby reading, "I'm carrying your child. You can end this." Serena placed it on the table alongside the photos and texts. Jackson's face strained. Evelyn's eyes snapped to him. Jackson's voice was barely audible. "It's true. Ruby told me yesterday. I don't know what to do." The room remained heavy with tension. Serena rose to her feet, the heels of her shoes clicking with resolve. She stood in the firelight, taller and stronger than she felt. "Then let me be clear," Serena said, voice steady. "I want a clean break. Half the equity in Hayes Property Group transferred to me. Half our joint savings. And full custody of Hudson, with you to have reasonable visitation. I will not accept less." Jackson rose too, shoulders slumped. "That's everything I have," he whispered. "It's what I deserve," Serena replied. She turned to Evelyn. "My attorney will be in touch within 48 hours. Evelyn studied Serena for a long moment, then inclined her head. "Very well. Jackson, arrange it." Jackson looked first at Serena, eyes brimming with remorse, then at his mother. He nodded as though accepting fate. "I will," he said. Serena felt tears prick the corners of her eyes, but blinked them away. She gathered her papers and replaced them in her tote. One last glance at Jackson, torn, regretful, but complicit, and she left the room. Evelyn did not follow. Her son remained kneeling beside the coffee table, head in his hands. Serena crossed the foyer and pushed through the front door into the misty night. Outside, the rain had turned from drizzle to steady fall, cloaking the night in rhyming whispers. Serena shook off droplets from her coat, climbed into her Subaru, and drove away. In her rearview mirror, the lamps of the Hayes estate glowed like distant fireflies. Her world had shifted. The confrontation was over, but the battles ahead, custody hearings, asset division, the unraveling of shared memories, were just beginning. As the mansion receded behind her, Serena's mind cleared with grim purpose. Hudson's bright drawings would no longer hang silent in a house of lies. Serena would build a new home for them, one founded on honesty, respect, and love. And the night's storm, like the revelation it accompanied, would wash away the illusions that once bound her, leaving a path towards something stronger and truer. Serena Blake awoke to the soft drip of rain against her loft's industrial-style windows. Dawn had not yet broken, but a pale gray light seeped into the room. Illuminating stacks of legal papers and investor pitch decks spread across her kitchen island. Lying beside her, Hudson slept soundly, oblivious to the storm his parents' lives had become. Serena pressed a kiss to his temple, rose quietly, and dressed in a slate-blue pantsuit, her armor for the high-stakes battles ahead. Today she would secure everything she needed for her son's future. The final signatures on the separation agreement, the influx of angel funding for Beacon and Company, and the legal confirmation that she would retie. By 6:45 a.m., she was in her Subaru, navigating the slick streets of Capitol Hill. Each stoplight felt like a countdown, every passing block a reminder of how fragile her carefully rebuilt life was. At 7 a.m., she swiped through her emails to confirm that Mercy Capital's bridge loan had closed, delivering $12 million to Hayes Property Group in exchange for a 40% governance stake. The bank covenants would be satisfied, and half of the escrowed joint savings would come to her this Thursday. Serena allowed herself a small, private smile. The personal settlement funds would cushion Beacon's runway for at least 9 months. At 8:15 a.m., Serena pulled into the glass-walled lobby of Hayes Property Group in Bellevue. It was the same lobby she'd once breezed through as Mrs. Hayes, coordinating holiday par. "Good morning," Maya said, voice low. "The bridge loan closed last night. We're solvent for now." The initial wire cleared at midnight. Serena nodded. "Thank you." "And the settlement transfer?" Maya tapped her tablet. "Your half of the joint accounts moves Thursday. I've earmarked it and alerted our finance team." Serena exhaled. "That secures Beacon's payroll through Q1. Maya gave a curt nod. I'm sorry you had to go through this. Serena managed a small, grateful smile. Thank you for your help. She turned and left, heart pounding as she retraced her steps to her Subaru. The rain had stopped by 9 a.m., leaving streets slick and reflective under overcast skies. Serena sped back to Capitol Hill, dialing Tom Reynolds as she approached Beacon and Company's loft on 15th Avenue. Secured the bridge, Serena announced as Tom opened the door. Mercy Capital deal closed. Funds cleared. Settlement funds arrive Thursday. Tom's grin was immediate. That's amazing. We can double our team, finalize the Talentsing campaign, and meet peril without sweat. Serena stepped inside. The loft's exposed brick walls were lined with white boards filled with storyboards, influencer profiles, and projected engagement curves. Her two co-founders, Tom and Maya Patel, were already prepping for the noon angel pitch. Serena dropped her tote at the table and joined them. Investor deck is compiled, Maya Patel reported. Margins, retention, pilot clients, everything you asked. Serena opened her laptop. Good. Today we close our seed. I want personalized slides about my journey, how I turned heartbreak into Beacon's ethos of authenticity. That narrative will resonate. Tom nodded. I'll add that right away. By 11 a.m., the three sat before a 65-inch monitor in their conference room. Outside, Capitol Hill's cafes and thrift shops flashed by the window. Investor chairs were set. Len Martinez from a fintech unicorn, Alicia Grant of Green Future Capital, and Derek Zhou, a tech and fashion visionary. Serena took a steadying breath and clicked to the first slide, From Breakup to Breakthrough, the Beacon story. She began, I'm Serena Blake, co-founder of Beacon and Company. 2 months ago, my marriage collapsed under the weight of betrayal. Left to rebuild a life and support my son, I launched Beacon on 3 principles: truth, sustainability, and creative impact. She moved through campaign case studies, a 320% engagement lift for a West Coast apparel brand, a 48% increase in online conversions for a vegan cosmetics line, projected revenue growth of 18% for each new client. Her voice was precise, confident, each data point backed by live dashboards. Len Martinez leaned forward. Ms. Blake, metrics are impressive, but tell us how you plan to scale with a 30% margin target. Serena clicked to the financial model. We'll introduce retainer-based services in Q3, pushing predictable subscription revenue. That, and our influencer network platform, will lift margins to 35% by Q4. Alicia tapped the screen. What about supply chain resilience in a turbulent market? Maya interjected. We partner exclusively with Certified B Corp, which ensures both stability and brand cachet. Clients embrace that authenticity. After a brisk 15 minutes of probing, Len Martinez exchanged a look with his partners. This checks every box, he said. I'll commit $800,000 at a $8 million pre-money valuation. My partners match. Relief flooded Serena's chest. She stood, extending her hand. Thank you. At 1:30 p.m., Beacon's bank account was updated with the angel funds. Serena and her team celebrated with takeout sushi and celebratory toasts. But Serena's mind was already shifting back to the legal battlefield. The final signatures on the separation agreement awaited at Greenwood Legal by 4 p.m. By 2:15 p.m., Serena returned to her loft, fresh from Beacon's success. She spread the final draft of the agreement on her kitchen island, 3 bound copies, each requiring her signature, Jackson's, and clerk notarization. She reviewed it carefully. Half equity in Hayes property to her, half the Morgan Stanley accounts, full custody of Hudson. With Jackson granted alternate weekend visitation and 1 evening per week. A clause stipulated immediate escrow release upon signature, no delays. At 3 p.m., she boarded a lift for Greenwood Legal on Dexter Avenue. Rain clouds gathered again, and the city's reflection danced on wet pavement. Veronica Shaw, her divorce attorney, greeted her in the mahogany-paneled office. Serena signed page by page, pen moving with purpose. Veronica initialed after her, then slid the copies into a stamped envelope. Jackson must sign by 5:00 p.m. tomorrow morning, Veronica said. I'll file immediately upon receipt. Understood, Serena replied, relief mingling with exhaustion. Thank you. At 3:45 p.m., Serena arrived at Maplewood Elementary in time to collect Hudson. He bounded into her arms, raving about show and tell. She listened, smiling, as umbrellas bobbed in the drizzle around them. They made their way to the car, Hudson's art project, a three-dimensional Lego diorama, clutched proudly in his hand. Back at the loft by 4:30 p.m., Serena settled Hudson with dinner and homework. She then sat with her laptop to finalize Beacon's contract for a high-profile campaign launching next week. Each keystroke reaffirmed her autonomy, her brand, her life, her son's well-being. At 6:00 p.m., her phone buzzed, a text from Jackson. Jackson Hayes, I need to sign today. I'll meet you at Greenwood at 7. She typed back. Serena Blake, I'll be there. At 6:45 p.m., Serena and Hudson climbed into her Subaru for the final drive to Greenwood. Hudson dozed on the back seat, small breaths pluming like ghosts. Serena parked beneath a rain-saturated magnolia, checked her reflection once more, and headed inside. Jackson was already there, sleeves rolled, looking pale but determined. He stood when she entered. Veronica sat between them. Documents laid out once more. Jackson, Veronica said, these are the final terms. Sign here, here, and here. She tapped 3 signature lines. Jackson picked up his pen and hesitated, then signed all 3 with a single flourish. He pressed the pen back across the table. Serena exhaled, collecting the executed copies. Thank you, she said, voice steady. She met Jackson's eyes, remorse, relief, grief all mingled in his gaze. Evelyn, who had arrived silently, nodded with maternal finality. This is what is best for Hudson. Harvey paused, then added, civility for his sake. Jackson released a breath. Agreed. As they exited Greenwood Legal into the evening drizzle, Serena felt the weight lift. The paperwork was done. The funds were secured. Hudson's custody was settled. Each step home was a step into a future she controlled. At 8 p.m., Serena tucked Hudson into bed one last time. He looked up at her sleepily. Mom, can we build a fort tomorrow? Serena smiled, brushing his hair. Yes, baby. Tomorrow we build a fort. She turned down the lights, leaving Hudson in the soft glow of his nightlight. Alone in the living room, Serena sank onto her sofa, opening her laptop to Beacon's Slack channel. Serena, we did it. Seed funding closed. Settlement executed. Hudson and I are officially on our own terms. Responses pinged almost instantly. Tom Reynolds, you're unstoppable. Maya Patel, congrats, boss. Let's celebrate Q1 style. Serena typed one final message. Serena, tomorrow, fort building at 9 a.m. life rebuilding at 9:01. She closed her laptop and leaned back, the night's exhaustion giving way to quiet triumph. Outside, the rain continued its lullaby against the windows. Serena stared at the darkened skyline, each light a flicker of possibility. The high-stakes gamble had paid off. The pieces were in place for her new life, one built on honesty, resilience, and unwavering love for Hudson. Serena Blake slid out of bed before dawn, greeted by the gentle patter of rain against her loft's windows. Hudson lay curled beside her, clutching a miniature superhero figurine. Serena kissed his forehead, rose quietly, and dressed in charcoal gray slacks and a soft white sweater. Today was the day her legal existence as Mrs. Hayes would officially end. In the kitchen, she measured coffee grounds into her French press. At 7:15 a.m., Serena buckled Hudson into his car seat. He squirmed with excitement, recounting a dream in which he and Serena had built a rocket ship to the moon. Serena smiled, heart full. Judge Martinez signed the decree this morning, Veronica said, handing Serena the embossed, Serena's chest tightened with relief. "Thank you." She lifted Hudson into her arms, showing. They exited into a light drizzle and headed to the King County Clerk's office. At the filing window, a clerk stamped the document final and entered it into the permanent record. Serena exchanged a relieved look with Hudson. Water ran in rivulets down the marble pillars. Outside, Washington foliage glistened in raindrops, the sky a soft gradient of slate. Serena told Hudson they'd back on Capitol Hill by 9:30 a.m. Serena brought Hudson home to her loft. She set him up with crayons at the dining table while she logged into Beacon and Company's Slack channel to drop the news. Divorce decree final, custody granted. Onward. Instantly. Co-founders Tom Reynolds and Maya Patel fired back seal. At 10:45 a.m., Serena toggled to an online meeting link for Beacon's Q2 strategy. She sipped her second coffee as team members from design, analytics, and accounts joined on screen. Their clients, West Coast Apparel Group, Ecolux. Afterwards, Serena hugged Tom. "Thank you for everything." His grin was genuine. "We're building something amazing." Serena nodded, filing a note. Send updated budgets to Beacon and Company board. Then she took a quick call with the CFO at Mercy Capital, confirming the final tranche of the bridge loan had cleared and her settlement account would be funded by close of business. Another key pillar fell into place. At 1 p.m., Serena arrived with Hudson at Dr. Alvarez's Bright Art Therapy studio. Hudson selected a pot of watercolors and began painting rockets in flight. Serena sat beside him while Dr. Alvarez praised Hudson's adaptability. His drawings had transformed from stormy clouds to rainbow landscapes, reflecting his resilience. Serena learned that consistent schedules and emotional check-ins would keep Hudson thriving amid upheaval. She jotted down Dr. Alvarez's recommendations: weekly art sessions and journaling prompts for bedtime. At 2:45 p.m., Serena pulled into Beacon's basement garage to join the 3 p.m. call with Mercy Capital. She dialed in from her car. The line crackled as voices greeted her. "Settlement funds have cleared," the CFO announced. "Your account is credited as of 2 minutes ago." Serena pressed her palm to the steering wheel. The influx meant Beacon's runway extended through Q3, doubling their previous projection. She thanked the CFO and hung up, a smile spreading across her face. Hudson sat beside her, munching a muffin. "We're set, bud," she said, ruffling his hair. By 4:30 p.m., Serena was back at Maplewood Elementary's buzzing hallways. She collected Hudson from after-school art club, then joined the parent-teacher meeting scheduled at 5 p.m. The gymnasium walls bore student artwork, clay animals, and watercolor portraits. Serena met with Miss Kinsey, who lauded Hudson's curiosity and empathy. "He adjusts remarkably well," Miss Kinsey said. "The consistent visitation has helped him feel secure." Serena exhaled, grateful for the teacher's support. She chatted with other parents about neighborhood playdates and the upcoming elementary talent show. Community, Serena realized, was as vital as any legal order. At 6:45 p.m., Serena returned to her loft, Hudson's sleepy head on her shoulder. She tucked him into bed, reading 2 bedtime stories. He drifted off, clutching his painted rocket. Serena trailed downstairs to her dimly lit living room. She flicked open her laptop to finalize one last task: emailing Jackson the official visitation calendar per the court stipulation, alternating weekends, one midweek evening, summer holiday schedule. She attached the PDF, composed a courteous note, and hit send. Her exhale was almost audible. Boundaries were set, roles clarified. A final glimmer of closure shimmered when she spotted the email from Jackson's attorney. "Settlement funds have been dispersed." Serena forwarded the confirmation to Beacon's CFO, then deleted Jackson's contact number from her phone. She walked to her desk and opened the next chapter, journal she'd begun that morning. Her bullet points read: enroll Hudson in summer art camp, launch Portland office, train for Seattle half marathon, join local parents network, launch personal blog. She added one more line in bold: Allow myself to date again when ready. Serena closed the journal, powered down her laptop, and leaned back into the sofa. Outside, rain resumed its lullaby on the windows. She wrapped a throw around her and let herself savor the quiet. The storm of divorce had passed, and beyond lay open skies, her future to rebuild step by deliberate step. Serena stood at her loft's rain-streaked window, gazing at the city lights reflected on wet streets. The rain softened, as if in agreement, and Serena turned, stepping into the future she'd chosen, one anchored in resilience, authenticity, and unwavering love for her son. Serena woke to the gentle hum of the city below her Capitol Hill loft, the morning sun filtering through curtains dampened by last night's rain. The final decree had been filed, custody arrangements settled, and Beacon and Company's runway secured by the settlement funds and newly closed financing. Yet despite tangible victories, a deep longing stirred within her, the urge to distill her journey into a message powerful enough to guide others through their own storms. Today she would speak at the Pacific Northwest Women's Leadership Summit, sharing truths born of betrayal, resilience, and renewal. She dressed in a tailored navy sheath dress, anchoring her nerves with deliberate calm. Before leaving, she paused at the gallery wall where Hudson's drawings celebrated family, rockets, and sunshine. Crayon suns beamed down on stick-figure homes. Each image whispered a promise: hope outlasts heartache. Serena pressed her palm against the glass and silently vowed to transform her pain into purpose. At the summit's backstage entrance, volunteers handed out name badges. Serena breathed in the mingled scents of coffee and polished wood before stepping into the main hall. Hundreds of women gathered, entrepreneurs, executives, activists, clutching notebooks and mugs of steaming tea. A hush settled as the MC introduced her. Please welcome our keynote speaker, Serena Blake, CEO of Beacon and Company. Applause rippled through the room as she strode to the podium. Her opening words were simple. Thank you for having me. 2 years ago, my world collapsed beneath me, my marriage shattered by betrayal, my home filled with uncertainty, and my business teetering on the brink. Today I stand before you not as someone unbroken, but as someone rebuilt. She paused, scanning the audience. I want to share 3 guiding principles that carried me from despair to determination: unflinching truth, courageous vulnerability, and unbreakable community. First, she spoke of truth. In the aftermath of deceit, I faced a crossroads: cling to comforting illusions or embrace hard realities. I chose reality. I confronted financial records, I acknowledged personal failures, and I laid my entire life bare in court documents and boardroom meetings. That honesty became my foundation. At Beacon, we instituted weekly, transparency sessions where every team member shares one challenge and one insight, no censorship allowed. Initially, those meetings trembled with discomfort. But as truth took root, creativity flourished, projects accelerated, and morale soared. Honest dialogue turns obstacles into opportunities. Her second point was vulnerability. Strong leaders project confidence, but true leadership also requires courage to reveal our fears and flaws. I remember showing up at a company retreat, voice cracking as I spoke of my divorce and my doubts about starting over. In that moment, I shed the armor of perfection and invited my team to see my humanity. Vulnerability seeded trust. Afterward, colleagues offered support, shared their own struggles, and rallied around me in a way no executive directive ever could. When we drop the facade of invincibility, we unlock genuine collaboration. Serena's voice softened. If you want others to trust you, show them you trust yourself enough to be real. Her third principle was community. None of us rebuild in isolation. My neighbors organized meal trains. Friends offered rides to parenting appointments. Clients listened patiently as I worked through personal challenges. That network of care, of coffee chats, shared laughter, and collective problem-solving sustained me. I learned to pay it forward, mentoring aspiring entrepreneurs, volunteering at family service centers, and hosting monthly open houses at Beacon to welcome freelancers and startups. Community is the soil in which our resilience grows. Cultivate it, nurture it, and lean on it when storms come. Serena moved to practical applications. Here are 3 actions you can take this week. First, host a check-in circle at work or home, giving everyone a minute to share a win and a worry. Second, schedule a vulnerability hour with a trusted peer group, no agendas, just honest conversation. Third, devote 2 hours to community service, whether that's tutoring, mentoring, or neighborhood cleanup. These small steps ripple outward in unexpected ways. She glanced at her notes, then dropped them, speaking from the heart. When my son, Hudson, paints suns and rockets, he doesn't worry about yesterday's storms. He reaches for tomorrow's possibilities. If we lead with truth, stand in our vulnerability, and weave strong communities, we give ourselves and each other the freedom to soar. A swell of applause filled the hall as Serena concluded. She stepped down from the podium to meet attendees who shared tearful thanks and stories of their own resilience. A young founder told her that Serena's words convinced her to cancel her own retreat and share her personal story instead. A nonprofit leader approached with tears in her eyes, saying she had renewed hope for her battered team. Each encounter reaffirmed Serena's belief: personal trials become transformative teachings when we choose to share them. That evening, Serena returned to her loft and found Hudson asleep, his small form curled around a plush fox. She shifted him gently, then sat by her desk and opened Beacon's Slack channel one last time. She posted a photo of the summit stage behind her, captioned simply, "Truth, vulnerability, community." Instantly, reactions and messages poured in: colleagues, clients, followers, all echoing gratitude and inspiration. Serena closed her laptop and slipped into bed, heart full. In the darkness, she reflected on the arc of her journey, from the abyss of betrayal, through arduous legal battles, into the bright, boundless skies of reinvention. The lessons she shared were not polished platitudes, but hard-earned truths tested in real life. Serena drifted to sleep knowing that her message, born of personal storm, would continue to guide her, her son, and countless others seeking their own path from ruin to radiance. Tomorrow, she would greet dawn with open eyes and an open heart, ready to live those principles anew. And that brings us to the end of today's story on TrueStory Vibes. Don't forget to leave a comment with a quote or moment that touched you the most. Your words give our team the motivation to keep creating more heartfelt stories. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you again soon.